Hey folks, Eric Levine from Two Cops, One Donut. Want something better than Ring, Arlo, Brink, or any of the other quick launch home security systems? I've been having trouble with my Ring products. They don't read license plates on moving vehicles, the link doesn't connect fast enough to my phone, and I'm tired of getting notifications only to see like a glimpse of something that set it off. I was reached by a veteran-owned business called Agent Security. The owner, the staff, all veterans or former cops, they're kind of like the Chick-fil-A of customer service when it comes to security. They have a system that does everything companies like Ring do and more. They have pivoting cameras that track day or night. They can also read license plates and catch high-definition details that will lead police more effectively to catching the offender. Their mission is providing the best home security systems to their customers. All you have to do is start the conversation to protect our most valuable assets, our families. They listen to your needs and come up with perfect customized security solutions to protect what matters to you most. You can contact them by phone at 713-962-3558 or email info@agentsecurity.com or visit their website, agentsecurity.com. That's AGENTSECURITY.com. They serve the greater Houston area, North Texas, and more. Be sure to tell them that Eric Levine from Two Cops, One Donut sent you. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Impact Tactical. Impact is a tactical outfitter for the men and women of our military, police, fire departments, and other public safety around the country. Impact's core beliefs is that fearless men and women protect our freedom and safety should have access to the best tactical performance apparel, equipment, and tools on the market. And they shouldn't have to go broke to get it. I've used Impact for about 11 years, and I can attest that they do live up to their core values. So you get a personal recommendation from me. You can find them at impacttactical.com. That's MPAK tactical.com. And be sure to tell them that Two Cops, One Donut sent you. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, a.k.a. the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite 103, Fort Worth, Texas 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. All right, welcome back. Two Cops, One Donut. I am your host, Eric Levine. Today, my special guest is four-time author. You heard it right, four-time author. I don't have the patience to read one book, and this guy wrote 4 books. Mr. Glenn Topping. How you doing, sir?
Good, Eric. Thank you very much for having me.
Not a problem, sir. So just so people know, this show, we tend to get first responders, we get military, we get people all around the criminal justice system, some people that have been convicted on the criminal justice system, so we get all sides of the house. Glenn covers at least 2 of those angles because he's a military veteran, a world traveler, and he also did sheriff's department, retired, I believe. Correct, sir?
Yes.
That's amazing. So how are you doing, sir? How are things going?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a little warm out here today in South Florida.
South Florida. Oh, it gets sweaty down in South Florida. It gets humid in South Florida.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah,
horrible.
I got family that lives in Clearwater.
Yeah, a little more north of me. I'm in the South End near Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, living the dream.
Yeah, living the nightmare.
No hurricanes, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. That's good.
Until the end of November.
All right, sir. We got a lot to unpack, okay? Because normally I can sit and talk to a military vet, and we could have a whole podcast out of that. Now, I don't know how you heard about my podcast, but I have several times on my podcast tell people, like, reach out to me. If you're interested in being on the show, reach out to me. You are the second person ever that has actually taken me up on that.
Oh.
And I think I responded to you immediately. I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, come on. Let's go. Tell me your story.
Yeah, wow.
So I appreciate you reaching out, sir. Not many people actually do that. But all right, sir. So I like to do the first part of my show is I call it the humanizing part. I don't like to put a title on it, but everybody knows my formula. So where are you from? and what got you into service? So kind of lead me up to it.
Okay, well, I'm from Queens, New York, but I haven't been back there since like the mid 70s. But I grew up there in the 50s and the 60s. My dad was a World War II vet. My mother had to have two sisters. They live in different parts of the state. Growing up, typical young kid growing up in New York. Always watched the old cop shows. I always found it very interesting and some funny, like something like Adam 12 and Dragnet and Highway Patrol.
Just the facts, man.
Right, just the facts, right? And whenever I saw a cop on my street or near me when I was at the playground, I would go over and talk with them and see what they're about and what the job was like. And that was like when I started very young. And then I just kept that as I got older. And after I got out of high school, I told my mom, I said, I'm going to join the Army. I want to go to the MPs, the military police. And she didn't like the idea. She goes, you don't need to do that. But my dad was all for it because he's ex-military, right? So I did. So I decided to join the Army, and that was in 1973. I'm dating myself here.
Yeah. And I wasn't born yet. By 10 years, sir.
Okay. There's a baby.
Yes.
So I went through basic, went through MP school in Fort Gordon, Georgia, got certified as a military police officer. And then I got transferred out to Nuremberg, Germany at my first duty assignment. And my first year in the military police, I was assigned to the stockade, the pre-trial stockade, where the GIs were waiting to go back to the States to do their sentence at Fort Leavenworth. So about a year into that, I got promoted to sergeant. I took the test, promoted to sergeant, and I got shipped to a road patrol unit in the same city of Nuremberg. And that was the 793rd MP Battalion. And over there, I was a 22-year-old sergeant in charge of about 15 to 20 guys doing road patrol. That's how it started.
Okay. I'm getting that feedback just started up again in your mic. Can you maybe pull it away from your face just a little bit? Maybe.
Okay.
Nope, it's still doing it. Damn, what the hell happened? Folks, if you're listening to this, we started out we were having some audio difficulties.
Anything different?
Nope, it's still doing that clicking thing. Just unplug it and plug it back in real quick. Let's see if that fixes it.
Oh, boy.
I know. Such a pain. We were doing great.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they fixed it.
But now?
Yeah, you're good. Why does it do that?
Do that every few minutes.
I know. Hey, if that's how it is, that's how it is.
Blame it on the state.
Yeah, it's the humidity in the air.
It is.
Okay. So you get into that. Now, you got a little kickback from mom, but your dad. So do you think that's what drew you to the military was, having a father that was in service and all that?
Yeah, I think so. He served in World War II. He was in Hawaii during the war.
Okay.
And luckily he survived everything over there. And so I thought, hey, listen, I think it's a good thing to serve.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do, so I did it. My mom got to like it after a while.
So policing back then, we're talking, was the civil rights movement still pretty big back then, or?
That was more like in the 60s.
60s. I know it started in the 60s, but I didn't know like what the vibe would be like, especially in New York.
I lived in the suburbs of New York, not in the city.
Okay.
So it was a little different growing up than living in Manhattan, where it is hustle and bustle and craziness.
Okay.
I had a good childhood back in the suburbs.
My best impression of Queens is just watching that movie, Coming to America.
Oh, okay.
Where he was like, God, this is Queens, or hello Queens, and they're like, shut the fuck up, or fuck you, and he's like, yes, fuck you too. I love it.
I thought they were going to say the King of Queens.
No, I haven't watched. I know what show you're talking about. I just haven't. Yeah. I didn't really get into that one very much. All right. So growing up in Queens, or in the suburbs, good life, good life as a kid.
Yep.
Dad was in World War II. That's amazing.
Yes.
Navy? Now that I think
Army.
Okay. We had Army in Hawaii at that time.
Yep.
Would have never known that.
Oh yeah. He was in the Army Air Corps.
Yeah, baby. That's the that's the granddaddy of the Air Force right there. That's my neck of the woods.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's Air Force.
Oh, nice.
I'm still in technically.
Oh, you are? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I do the
Reserve?
reserves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do all like you're required 24 days a year. Instead
Right.
of doing 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year, I do all my time at once. So usually about March, I go in and I spend about a month at my base.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's
it's
nice.
so much easier doing it that way.
In pilot?
Oh, hell no. God, I am not smart enough. I'm a cop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm an MP just like you.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
So I know you became an MP in the Army and you go
Yes.
to Germany. Any conflicts going on at the time?
No, it was fairly quiet. The only issues we had was with the Russian spies hanging out around the military bases.
Oh.
It was something called the Soviet Military Liaison Mission, and these guys drove around in these cars. They had that SMLM tag on it, and they would try to sneak around the base and take pictures. But they were legal to do it, but you had to keep an eye on them to make sure they didn't get too close. So we would follow them around and shoo them out of the area if they got a little bit too close. And other than that, it was not really much happening.
So you knew they were spies, and you
Illegal spying. Yeah.
Oh, I would have whooped their ass.
Yeah, well, you couldn't. It would cause an international incident.
Stop taking pictures.
Well, yeah. Well, hey.
Okay. Interesting. How was your time in Germany?
That was nice. I had a good time. I had a good group of guys I was working with. Did a lot of traveling while I was over there.
Okay.
Because we were close to to Switzerland and Austria. And then do my thing. And then it was time to leave. They tried to get me to re-enlist. I really didn't want to. I figured let me just do my 4 years, and I did, and I got out.
Okay. So you
got my honorable discharge, and that was it.
So you do your 4 years. You come back home, and did you immediately jump into the sheriff's department?
No, the sheriff's office was actually much later. At this point, I was thinking like, well, listen, I just did this MP thing. Do I really want to go back into policing the civilian side? So I really didn't pick it up for many years later. I was a lot older. But I got my friend and I moved down to Miami, Florida to go to school. And then while we were at school, we got a job in a hotel on Miami Beach, and I was working as a detective in the hotel for the hotel. I did that for a few years for different hotels, which was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of celebrities.
Nice.
And then a short time later, I decided, okay, now's the time. I better make up my mind because I'm getting old. And I decided to sign up, and I signed up with a small department, and as a reserve officer at first. And then I had to go to the Reserve Academy, which was about 8 weeks long. And then I got certified as a reserve. And then about 6 months later, they called me in and asked if I wanted to go full time. And I said, yeah, sure. So I had to go back to the regular academy. That was another 4 or 5 months. And I got my certification and then went on the road and I got hired as a cop then.
Okay. Oops. Oh, I just switched our cameras around. Sorry. Okay. I'm learning this as I go.
At least you know you're not a lefty.
Yeah. Okay. So this podcast is about educating the public, and vice versa. It's about educating other officers and stuff like that. I found that was an unintentional consequence of doing this podcast. So policing in itself has changed vastly since the 70s and 80s and the 90s and even today. Now, in that change from being a military cop to switching over to the sheriff's office and stuff like that, like, what were the major differences between being a military cop and a civilian cop for you?
Well, it was probably the severity of...
Hold on. Unplug and replug in. We're going to keep doing it. That's fine. I'll edit it. Say it again.
Anything?
Perfect.
Okay.
It's so weird. It's got to be the iPad. It has to be. It's just because it's
sorry
not.
About that.
No, it's not your fault. That's fine.
I got to get with tech support later and find out what the hell's wrong with my thing.
Now, normally I'll edit stuff, but I think this one's actually kind of comical, so I'm not even going to edit this out. I'm just going to keep rolling with it. Okay, if you see me put my finger up, just automatically redo it.
Just don't do the other finger.
Sorry to interrupt. Okay, so go ahead. What's the differences between the military police and the civilian?
I think the main differences really are the minor offenses in the military got you a more severe punishment than if you did the minor offense in civilian life and you got no punishment.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure you know.
I've seen people, and our generations are different in the military, but the punishments still stay the same. I watched kids paint rocks underneath the flagpole. Literally, like hand painting these little, that was their punishment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the UCMJ is handled a lot of bad punishments, because I used to do these extraditions from Germany to Leavenworth with bringing the prisoners over to do their sentence.
Yeah.
And, some were doing hard time, murder and rape and battery and assaults and drugs.
Yes.
And I go, boy, you're better off doing it in civilian life, not military life.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. I agree. The UCMJ, it's got a lot of leeway when it comes to its punishments. I don't think a lot's changed. Not even.
I don't know, but I know it was tough back then.
Yeah, not even from your era. I don't think it's changed a whole lot.
Probably not.
They don't play. They still, like, they're prisoners and stuff. I worked corrections for a year in the Air Force, and we were still marching them to and from the chow hall.
Absolutely.
Basically on public display. It's pretty. You can't embarrass people like that in the civilian world.
No. No, we had the same thing when I was in my first year in the stockade. Even though they were in jail, it was still military.
Yeah, it's like boot camp on steroids. Yeah,
exactly. Drop, sit, run.
Yep.
Stand up, drop everything, salute.
Yep.
And if you didn't do it, we had something called DSRD, which was disciplinary segregation with reduced diet.
Oh no, we took the chow away.
Right. So they would get their food in their single cells in a little ashtray, and that was it until they wanted to comply. It didn't take too long.
I bet it didn't. Holy shit. Dang, I don't know if they do.
As you walk by, you were okay.
I don't think they do that one anymore. I never heard of that one.
I'm sure they don't. You never heard of that?
No, I never heard of that one.
Uh-oh. Well, I can confirm nor deny that it existed.
I think you're out of your window for a statute of limitation. You're okay. Holy shit. That's crazy. Okay, in your career with the sheriff's office and all that, what was your career path like? Were you jails? How'd that go?
Well, first I started in patrol, which was really my favorite thing to do, because it was constantly moving around looking for stuff to do, looking for the bad guys. Then I got actually a short time into that, I took the sergeant's test again. I got promoted, and I was a road patrol sergeant. And then maybe about 3 or 4 months later, my chief calls me in, and there's a guy in the office with him in a suit. I'm thinking, oh, what'd I do? All right. And it turns out he was one of the producers for the TV show Cops that started in 1989.
Yeah, my dad was on that.
Oh yeah, so I was on. I got selected to be on that show in the first season. So I was in about 5 or 6 episodes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were actually in the car with you, following you around.
Yeah, I had the cameraman in the front and the sound guy in the back.
What?
And they followed me and did this film, whatever happened.
Okay, one of the beauty things of this is I get to look stuff up right away.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to look up Cops Show Glenn Topping.
If it even comes up that way.
It may, it may not.
It may.
Let's see.
This is season 1.
Okay, let's try that. Season 1, Cops Glenn Topping. Let's see what we find. This would be awesome if we could find it right away. Doesn't look like I'm seeing.
Because sometimes they're mixed in with other episodes.
Yeah.
And you really have to go through all of them. And
oh, that's your book.
I have a couple on my phone. Hey, I have a couple of little episodes that I was in on my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It looks like you did a podcast with somebody else.
Yeah, that was somebody else, yeah.
Okay. Not a problem. Okay. Well,
I'll send you one or two when they hang up.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
So maybe you can edit it in or something.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. So, yeah, my dad, He was more or less. They weren't following him. He was a sergeant, and the cops, the call that they were dealing with, he had to make the scene as the sergeant. So I got to see him on the screen a couple times.
Oh, okay.
You know, as a kid, you already look up to your dad, and just that. Yeah, your mic again.
Oh my God.
It's okay.
All right, disconnecting, reconnecting.
Good to go. It's awesome that it fixes it right away.
That's weird.
It's almost like it's on a cycle, like a timing cycle.
Oh, so weird.
Something kicks in. But so what was your experience like on Cops, like behind the scenes? Like how fake, how real was it?
You're breaking up a lot for some reason.
Oh, okay. So what I was asking,
I hear you now.
On your episode of Cops, or being on Cops for several episodes, how real, how fake, what was it like? What was that experience like?
It was totally real. Whatever you saw on Cops is what happened. There's no retakes, no redoing of anything. Okay, cut, scene 2, no, nothing like that. So whatever they filmed, and then they would edit it for the show.
So the cameraman, everybody that was involved, basically putting themselves kind of in harm's way if shit went down. They were basically just a ride along.
They would ride along and just film it. They weren't really allowed to get involved in anything, even if you were going to fight for your life.
What?
They really weren't supposed to help out, but sometimes they did.
I'd be like, bitch, come help me. I am struggling. That's one of my things that frustrates me with other cops. And I've seen this in the field. They're screaming for help over the radio. And you hear it. You can hear it in their voice that they're having a rough go. You show up, you go running up, and I look, and there's 4 or 5, like especially here in Texas, I call them redneck bubbas. There's these big old truck driving, country boys standing by. And it's inevitable every time. If he just told us to come, we didn't want to, most people don't. They want to help, but they think that unless the cop tells me I can, I don't want to get in between it. And I get that. Totally understandable. But it's always the same sentiment. If the cop had just said, hey, can you help me? Like, these people were more than willing to help. And cops just never ask for help. I don't know.
I always ask for help.
Hell yeah. I got into it with this, it was a female. She's about 100 pounds soaking wet.
They're the worst.
And I am struggling to get her. I had her wrist, but she was Gumby. Her elbow looked like it spun around like 8 times, and I'm trying not to break anything. And I'm like, lady, you got to give me your hand. And finally I looked up and I saw what I described as my redneck bubbas over there. There was 2 dudes. They were standing by and they're watching. They're smiling. I'm like, you having a hard time? I was like, can you guys come help me a little bit? Just grab her legs for me. I was like, I got to get these handcuffs. And they're like, yeah, we're just making sure it was okay. And they came over, got control of her legs. And that was it. And it actually kept her safer. And I was an instructor for 3 years at our academy, and I've always made sure I've passed that on to the I call them kids. I don't mean to say kids, but the recruits that I taught, like, hey, citizens are on your side here. I don't. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily apply to all cities, but where I'm at, I can't mention where I'm at on this podcast, but where I'm at, the citizens are almost always down to help you out if you ask. So
that's good.
Just know. And I know Florida's very pro cop. So, oh man.
Yeah, they don't have to ask it. They automatically jump in.
Is it Broward County?
That's where I'm at. Yeah, in Broward.
So you have that badass sheriff that's like, they're like, why did you guys shoot 68 times? And like, well, we ran out of bullets.
Oh, no, that was up in Polk County.
Polk County.
That's Sheriff Grady.
Yes. That dude.
If they had more bullets, they would have shot him more.
Yeah, you want to talk about not give a shit. That guy, there's nothing politically correct about that dude.
Well, he's been up there for like 30 years and 40 years as a sheriff.
And his people keep voting him in.
Yeah, well, they love him because look what he does.
I know, he's amazing. If you got any connections, I'd love to have him on here. It'd be great.
Well, listen, just contact his office. I'm sure they'll put him on.
You think so? I don't know if he. I'm small potatoes, man. But no, he would be very cool.
you got to start out somewhere.
You do have to start somewhere.
I mean, he's on the news all the time.
Yeah. Hey, I'll give him all the publicity he wants. I know a lot of cops around the country love that guy.
Oh yeah,
just like that black sheriff up in Minnesota. I don't think he's a sheriff up there anymore, but he was very outspoken for a long time.
Oh, he was a Clark.
Clark, yes.
Wears the cowboy hat.
Yes. Oh, you got a great memory. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember him.
I've been knocked in the head too many times. I can't remember anything.
You got the CRS syndrome, huh?
Can't remember shit. You damn right. All right. So you're out there. Patrol was your favorite.
Yeah.
Did you do any specialized things? What was your wheelhouse?
Well, my wheelhouse was really patrol, but later on I got picked to be on I got assigned to the organized crime unit. And I was doing drug smuggling cases out of the airport and the bus terminals.
Oh, all from Miami, or I'm sorry, from Cuba and stuff?
Lauderdale Airport. Well, they would come in from New York.
Oh, okay.
Mainly.
Really?
With the cash to buy the dope down here.
Oh, okay.
And then we would profile them, take their money, and tell them, listen, when you come back and get your money, let us know where you got that money from. Mm-hmm. You know, I have a lawn service. I'm coming down with $200,000 in cash in my pocket, right? Or the opposite, we would profile people coming into the airport, and we catch them with a lot of coke.
You're fine. Good to go.
Hello.
Good to go. Okay.
We'd catch them with, kilos of coke coming into the airport, or with the smuggling guns or silencers in their baggage onto the plane. Now, of course, security was very different then than it is now. This was like in 1990.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the difference in technology and stuff, like,
yeah.
For every one you caught, how many do you think were getting through?
Probably a lot. You know, it was only probably. I have to tell my wife the same thing. For every one you stopped, there's 10 walking by.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, but
and if we had a big seizure, we would get DEA involved. They would pick up the case, and then we would take the dope to where the final destination is with the bad guy, and we would finish the case. We would fly the bad guy up with the dope and us, meet with DEA and customs wherever we were going, and finalize the deal on that end. And several times I had to dress up as a UPS or a FedEx guy and deliver the dope to somebody.
Oh, nice. And back then you had those real short shorts on anyway, right?
Yeah, it was hot.
Yeah. Okay, so were you working like joint task force where it was local law enforcement and all the 3-letter agencies that could get their hands on it all involved?
No, back then it was just the sheriff's organized crime unit that worked in the airport and the bus terminals. We had a lot of good seizures, made a lot of good arrests.
Yeah.
Actually, one of our arrests made it to the Supreme Court because the guy fought it, and he won. It's in the Supreme Court filings.
No shit.
Yeah.
What was the circumstances? Why do you want to fight it?
It was on a Greyhound bus. We were walking on the bus in the aisle, and we're looking around, and we see there's a bag over this guy's head in the carry-on. And we bring it down. They go, "Is this your bag?" And he goes, "Oh no, that's not my bag." Okay. Meanwhile we're blocking his exit from the bus because he's in front of us and the entrance is behind us.
Okay.
So we found a bunch of dope in the luggage. Right. We made the arrest. His attorneys take it all the way up because they said that if we had just left an opening for him to walk off the bus because he was free to leave at that point, we would blocked him. And it was a violation of his rights. Oh. So it went to the Supreme Court, and they won the case.
Fruit of the poisonous tree.
So, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we didn't give the dope back, but...
yeah, of course. So for people listening...
That one made the...
Yeah, for people listening, essentially what happens in an arrest, if it's deemed to be unlawful... everything from the point on of the arrest is thrown out of court. It doesn't count. So if I were to stop, like in this instance, if I were to stop this guy on a bus and prevent him from leaving, and then we find a dead body that he had killed somebody, all of that would be gone. It's called fruit of the poisonous tree because we stopped him illegally from the get-go. Now that's an extreme instance, but it still works. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what laws broke afterwards. So that's why it's important for cops not to violate rights. In this case, there was I don't think anybody was intentionally violating rights or anything like that. You're dealing with what you got in front of you. You're on a bus. There's nowhere to go anyway. And so just the way it goes. But you said you were about to say something. I cut you off. I apologize. You were saying that made it all the way up to Supreme Court, and then they...
Yeah, then we had to change our policy. We had to give them a clear passage, if they're not under arrest.
Okay.
Which was no big deal. Everything turned out. We lost the case, not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Right? Life goes on.
Yeah, and you can always, articulation, I try to tell this to younger officers, like articulation goes a long way.
Oh, yeah.
If you're able to articulate in a great way of why you were trying to stop and detain somebody, that may have saved y'all a big problem. I wasn't there. I don't know the circumstances, but things like that today can help you out in solving cases. So anybody out there wanting to be a cop or is on the path of becoming a cop or is a new cop, just remember, report writing is your most important feature that you're going to have as an officer, in my opinion.
And be honest.
Yeah, be honest. Yeah, please have some damn integrity. Yeah, don't embellish. Yep. Just be human. You don't have to write like a robot, but
no.
Yeah.
No boilerplating.
No what?
Boilerplating.
Boilerplating. What is that? I have never heard that.
That means you have the same exact paragraph for the same exact crime you arrest somebody on.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the templates. Yeah, I've seen that a million times. People have their own, this is my burglary template. And they're like,
right.
It was a dark and stormy night. And
Yeah.
All right.
So after that,
go ahead.
I applied I got on with as a hostage negotiator on SWAT.
What?
And I was on that team for 13 years as a negotiator.
Was your ringtone like da-na-na, da-na-na?
No. we have phones then.
Pagers. Yes.
Yeah. Got the group page. I had to go out.
Okay. So how many hostage situations did you get to deal with?
Quite a few over 13 years.
Okay. Well,
it literally, it was I trained.
I like that we're learning the hand signals now. I'm trying to speak Army language.
Yeah. After the training, then then you got your first call. You trained with the chief negotiator. And then after a while, I became like the lead negotiator, not the chief, but the lead negotiator. And I went out on almost all the call outs. And of course, they have to happen at like 2 and 3 in the morning when you're sleeping, right?
Always.
Nobody wants to kill themselves in the daytime, it seemed.
Okay, so it wasn't just hostage. You were dealing with crisis.
Yeah, crisis intervention, hostage call, barricaded subjects. And actually, we only lost, out of all the years, we only lost 2 that committed suicide in front of us while we were talking with them.
Okay. And in those 2 instances, did you have a feeling? Did you know? Or
one of them, yes. The other one, no.
Okay.
This guy just wanted to do it, and he just did it. He shot himself with a shotgun while his wife was holding on to him.
Ooh, damn.
She was unhurt.
Yeah.
He had a big hole in his chest.
Oh, he shot himself in the heart.
Yeah. It was in his backyard, sitting on the ground with the gun right at his chest, and his wife holding on to him.
Okay.
And, he was hell-bent on killing himself, and he did.
Damn. Okay, so kind of an important question. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but police work today. It's not just military, but it's also police. We're losing, 22 a day, 22 kills, definitely a big thing out there, PTSD and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you got my band on.
Hey, there we go. So you understand. And in your line of work, and especially in your era, that shit was not public. Nobody talked about that stuff or anything like that.
No.
How was I call it a cumulative trauma. That's how I was kind of taught. Mm-hmm. How did you cope? How did you deal with that type of stuff?
Well, to be honest with you, I really never had too much of a problem with it. If it was something that the chaplain would always show up, he would say, "Hey, you want to talk about this or not? You want to see me later in my office? Call me, blah, blah, blah." And I talked to him once or twice when they were on the scene. But other than that, I processed it pretty well on my own. I didn't let it get to me. It was just like part of the job. Sounds a little cynical, but that's how it was back then.
Yeah.
Just
I
move
mean,
on to the next one, you know.
I think that's the same today. I think that's how we all are. Some of us are able, like me personally, I've seen a lot of dumb shit, like crazy shit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Sure.
But I've always had a good process for myself. It wasn't intentional.
Right.
I wasn't trained. But I talk to my spouse when I have a problem.
Right.
And I don't keep anything bottled up. And for the most part, I really don't have any issues. But not all of us are the same. Some people are different. And so I'm just curious. But it's interesting. 13 years of you're seeing the worst of the worst in an area that has the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
So it'd be different if you were a hostage negotiator in, Mayberry, where your skill set's probably not really going to get used, but you're in an area that, holy shit, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that county.
Oh, yeah. And it was kind of ironic because we had one call out where this guy, high on cocaine, took these two women hostage in their house. And after talking to this guy for about 2 hours, I was finally able to let him release one of the women who was the owner of the house. So when we got her out, it turned out it was my son's pediatrician.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So we debriefed her, and then we found out that the guy is still holding the other hostage, which was the housekeeper, and he had her tied up in a chair in the bedroom. So and he had a knife at her. So the SWAT commander is telling me, keep him talking. We're going to try to make an entry into the house. So two guys snuck over to the window where they could see inside, and the rest of the team went to the front door. So all of a sudden, all this gunfire starts. And at the same time, they're trying to break in the front door of the house. So by the time they broke in, the gunfire was over. It was very quick.
Yeah.
So apparently they shot at this guy. I guess he made a move towards the hostage. And the two SWAT guys shot the guy almost 52 times from the window, killing him, not hurting the woman at all. I don't know how she didn't get a scratch on her. And then at that time, the rest of the team got in and got the lady out.
Wow.
It was very interesting. It was a long night.
I bet. Holy shit. That's incredible. What type of weapons were they using back then? The MP5s?
I think they were the MP5s, I believe, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, that's for that many rounds, that makes sense. That's a good gun. MP5,
oh, yeah.
That's a great gun.
They're nice. Yeah.
I am not a big, I love guns, don't get me wrong. I'm not a crazy, I know every gun type of person. I don't even know what SWAT uses anymore.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know they don't use MP5s, but I know they use...
That maybe depends on where you live.
Yeah, that's true. But I think they're using the new great stuff that's supposed to be like the improvement to the MP5.
Yeah.
So
sure, it's a nice toy.
Yeah, I bet it is. I would love to own one or two or three. But
well, listen, it was funny that by about 2 weeks after that incident, I had to go see. I had to take my son to the doctor.
Yeah. I'm going to do a little filler for you while you fix your mic real quick. Everybody's going to know because they're going to hear it kick in and then...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You see, in the movie business, that means stretch out the scene.
Yeah.
So I had an appointment with this doctor for my son at the time. And at the counter, I'm talking to the two girls, and I go, how's the doctor doing? I'm the one that saved his life.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're the one. Oh, we thank you so much. And then they go, okay, $15 copay. So I go, what? I go, you're going to make me pay this lousy $15?
Right, yeah.
You saved your doctor's life 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I'd be like,
that's
come
our
on.
policy.
Professional courtesy.
Okay. So when I saw the doctor, I told him that, they charged me to come in after what happened last week. Well, that's our policy. I said, okay.
That's what the doctor told you?
I found a new doctor.
Oh, shit.
I found a new doctor after that. It kind of pissed me off.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that we do the job to get perks or anything like that.
No.
But when you share such an emotional, life-altering, I have there's a guy I work with at my job. He had a catastrophic heart failure. A SWAT officer, actually. Catastrophic, they call it the Widowmaker. His heart basically went into some sort of fibrillation like that.
Yeah.
Unless you actually have an electronic like AED to or something like that to alter the. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I'm just telling you what they told me.
Yeah.
It's like 2% of people survive this thing, and you got to have some sort of electric interference to change the whatever. So
I've used that on somebody on a crash where a guy went into cardiac arrest and we saved his life.
Yeah. So my SWAT buddy, he went down right in front of us, and
oh wow.
One officer thought he's having a seizure. I didn't know, so I was like, well, let me grab the AED because that thing's supposed to read your heart rate and let you know what's going on there. So I was like, just to be safe. And I remember the other officer that I was with was like, no, just let him come out of this. Let him come out of this. And I was like, it's right there. I'll go get it. So I trusted my instinct and went and grabbed it, put it on him, and holy shit, it was like, stand back, stay clear, stand back, stay clear. Wow. And it fucking hit him like 5, 6, 7 times. And it ended up being the reason he's still with us today. So we're talking about, you're looking for a $15 copay. That guy can't pass me without giving me a hug now.
I bet.
And that's both. But like, if he doesn't see me and I see him, I'll just come up and hug him. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Like, we are connected for life.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I have saved people in the field, like just Joe Blow citizen. I've saved them, and awesome. To me, that's all in a day's work.
Right.
But there's a difference when you save somebody that you've got some sort of connection to, or something like that. Now, him and I, we were not like, we were, hey, how's it going type of guys. That's how we were at work. But now we see each other, like it's so much more an emotional bond.
Oh, sure it is.
Yeah.
That's good. Hey.
Yeah. But yeah, your doctor's an asshole, so I'm glad you switched.
Yeah, she was.
But so in your hostage negotiation, I don't want to stay on I want to get to your books and stuff like that, but
that's okay.
You're the first hostage negotiator I know that's actually been in a place that is significant and, probably got a lot of business. So in your hostage negotiation stuff, how often were drugs related? How often was it like just real emotional crisis that you were able to break through versus breaking through a dope-induced dumbass?
It was actually probably, I would say, a good 70% were the depression, over-medicated. They didn't know which way to turn. There was a lot of despair. They just needed somebody to talk to. I had a guy he was going to jump over on an overpass onto the highway, and he was sitting on the edge. And after about 10 minutes, he tells me, I said, "What are you doing over here?" He goes, "Well, it's my birthday. Nobody wished me a happy birthday at my house." So I go, "They don't care about me. I might as well just kill myself." I go, "Well, you don't want to do that. Just listen. If I tell you happy birthday, would you come down off the ledge?" Okay. Like, whatever his name was. All right, Bob, listen, happy birthday. I'm sorry your family did that. Happy birthday. Come on down. And he came off.
Hell yeah.
Sometimes it's that easy.
Okay.
Sometimes it's hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. That's awesome, though.
I'm talking to an empty house.
Oh yeah, no, that is true. I have seen that. You're loud hailing, "Sir, just come out to," and the officers on scene swear he's inside, and you're yelling and yelling.
Oh yeah. So we would throw rocks on the roof of the house to sound like somebody's walking. Maybe that would get their attention.
Okay.
If that didn't work, then I start breaking out a few windows.
Yes, I've seen that.
If that didn't get any attention, and then maybe there's nobody here.
That's so smart, though. I've never thought of throwing rocks up on the roof.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm not out in the field like that anymore. I'm not a patrol officer, but that is brilliant. That's a good idea. I'm sure my guys know.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah. I'm not that tactically savvy. I like to pretend in my head that I'm Jack Reacher, but I'm not. So
just jacked.
Yeah, I'm just Jack. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. But okay. So
it was a good time. I had a good time being the negotiator.
Now, were you the only one, or were there several?
No, we had a team. At the time, there was maybe 5 plus the chief negotiator, which unless it was a real major one, he would show up on. Other than that, he'd have his guys do it.
Okay. Just have your regular rotation, whoever's on call.
And I would mostly time get the call outs on it myself because I became like the lead negotiator. So
okay.
And then they would send somebody out with me.
What was the training like?
Well, first you had to sit for an interview with the chief negotiator and the SWAT commander. Then after that, you had to sit down with the psychiatrist and go through a bunch of testing, those MMPI testings, and you had like 8,000 questions you had to answer. That was horrible. Then you had to put some kind of this ridiculous wooden puzzle together in a certain amount of time, and you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Then you had to go to a training class that was put on by the FBI's lead negotiator. And then you went on your own.
Okay. How long did that whole process take?
Well, probably not long, maybe within a month.
Okay.
That's all. It went fairly quick.
Okay. So about a month's worth of training. And
then you went in the field, and then you didn't really do much of it except to really listen.
Observe.
Right. And then eventually you started to take over the helm and talk on the phone, or you had a hostage throw phone we used, or the bullhorn of the car,
Yeah.
And then after it was over, we would go in and diagram the house just in case we had to return. At least the SWAT guys would know where to go.
Yeah.
And that would become part of the after action report.
Nice. Okay. Interesting. So I've never taken, I did do a hostage course, but it wasn't to be the negotiator by any means. It was just to be the first responder on scene and how to mitigate until the pros got there. So
listen, sometimes I've been on calls where the deputy on the scene was doing fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, I had a hostage negotiator go, hey, you got a rapport with him. Just keep going.
Right, exactly.
Like, literally, he didn't try to take over. No ego involved, no nothing. No. I was trying to hand that shit off as quick as I could because I didn't want to fuck up. I was like, no, you do this. This is your thing.
You don't want to go to grand jury, I guess.
He's like, no, man. He's like, I'm telling you, you got it. He's like, I'll give you tips if you need it. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was always like exactly what you said. You just wanted somebody to talk to. And,
right. Most of the time.
Yeah. And
unless they're shooting at you, that's a different story.
Right. But in police work, I've seen the jaded cops, like, oh, they're wasting our fucking time. There's calls and all this stuff. People actually need us and they're using us for their therapist, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you know what? We all have a breaking point. Everybody's life's a little different. Everybody's family life and training and education is at a different level. You cannot hold people to your standards that you live in. And as cops, I think if we take the time to have that empathy in those moments, it's hard to do because we get, hey, you got to handle these calls. You're getting pressure from your bosses, hey, clear that shit up and handle the next call. Like, you've been sitting on that long enough. And you're just like, fuck. And we get in this mindset as cops. And I think, especially somebody like you who understands the mental aspect of, the psychological aspect of people in crisis, it's important, and it's not that hard. Important. It isn't that hard from our point.
It's not hard at all.
No. So
just don't make it hard.
Yeah. And the officers are going to have a hard time in the future, the ones that lack social skills.
Yeah.
And it's getting few and far between. I'm already seeing it, with the officers coming out, the real young officers coming out. Their social skills are not that great. And it's not that I don't think they can learn it. I just think they have an uphill battle compared to us that grew up. I'm kind of in between. I grew up analog into digital. Like I seen the transition. I remember, playing the stupid, what my video game was on road trips? It was a little self-contained thing of water, and you had to make the little circles land on the post. Right. That was it. That's what I played with as a kid. And then Game Boys came out, and I was fortunate enough to get a Game Boy.
Right.
So But that's what I mean. That's the transition I went through versus
Yep.
you were already in the professional world back then. So your verbal skill set was at such a different level.
Oh yeah.
Than even mine. And now you've got these kids, I say kids, it's not an insult, I promise. Younger people coming through that their only real means of communication is on one of these damn things, their cell phone.
Well, they have no life skills. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, they come right out of high school. They want to get beyond law.
Yeah, my wife and I
want to be in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And had to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife and I today, we were just having a discussion. My 13-year-old legal working age in Texas is 14.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, you got less than a year now. You just turned 13. You got less than a year. I was like, what type of job are you looking to get? And she's a student. She's in orchestra. I'm very lucky that she is such a smart kid. Yeah. But at the same time, if I can find her a few hours in some sort of services, whether that's washing dishes, waiting tables, bussing tables,
sure,
anything like that, I want her to get that experience.
Yeah, and dealing with people.
Right? Yeah, and my wife's like, no, she's focused on school. Da 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 da. I'm like, school's great, but school is not the only thing that makes you successful in life.
Yeah,
and so that's where I'm at. That's the hot debate going on in my household right now is what do people think? You know, like for me, I put a lot of emphasis in being social, getting out there and getting outside of that book smart thing, because the best cops I've ever worked with, they don't have. And I'm really talking shit about myself. I got a master's degree. That doesn't make me a good cop at all. But the best cops I've worked with, they didn't have anything.
I was just going to say that. I've the guys had master's degrees and bachelor degrees, and the guys that had high school diplomas had no problem with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And with the master's degrees, well, the book says I have to do it this way.
Yes. Now,
I say, give me that book. I'm going to throw it in garbage. You don't have to do it.
Where I think I got lucky is I didn't do this stuff till later in life. I didn't do my education side till I already had experience and all of that. And I think that was a big difference versus the kid that went to high school straight into college and now he's a cop. And he's like, thinks he's hot shit because, well, I've got this education and all this life experience because of your education. Like, that's not the same, dude.
No,
you know? Not. Give me the guy that worked retail for 15 years and decided to be a cop. That guy's going to be a good cop.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it's nice to sit on the oral boards for the new hires with the another sergeant or a captain lieutenant.
Yeah.
And we would see what was coming in to get hired on with the sheriff's office. And I looked at it after they left. I go, no. No.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
The good ones we had were the guys who were right out of the military. Those were the guys that we put in.
Yeah, squared away.
Right.
Yep.
New protocols.
New chain of command. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I like a good military guy. The only thing I don't like about some military guys is they think because they went over and seen the shit that it's going to make them a good cop.
Yeah.
It's a different.
Has nothing to do with it.
It has nothing to do with it. It's very different.
Yes.
Or being a military cop. You know, I was a military guy, and I was the asshole that thought, oh, this will be easy. It's different.
It's very different.
It's very different. I came in and, you know, I thought that I had a great... Now, don't get me wrong. I think my learning curve was a lot less steep than most. But at the same time, being a military cop did not necessarily make me a good cop. It definitely was different and had...
definitely different.
Way different. So my very first fuck up was my FTO was like, all right, you know, let's go make a traffic stop. I'm like, all right, cool. Now, I went to a shitty academy, and I was a military cop prior. Yeah. On the base, I didn't need, you know, a reason to pull you over. I just pull you over. Right. So here I am, and I pull this car over because he just told me, go pull a car over. Let's do a traffic stop. First car I saw go by, swung around, pulled him over. We're sitting in the car, and he's like, all right. And he's like, all right, let me see, go handle, go talk to her, go make your approach. So we go up there. He hadn't asked me why I pulled her over yet, which was probably his mistake. But I go up there. I was like, ma'am, I need your license and registration. and proof of insurance. That was the state that I was in. You needed all those things. So
Right.
in Michigan. So she's like, what did I do? I was like, I'll get with you in a minute. Just give me your information. So she's nice. She gives me that stuff. I go back to the car and we sit down and he's like, all right, pup. He always called me pup. All right, pup. What offense do we have? I was like, I don't know yet. Let me dig into her name. You know, actually, I didn't have a computer yet. We didn't have a computer, so I'm calling everything.
Right.
You know, can you run this name for me? And he's like, I see him scratching his head, and he's like, no, I mean, what offense did you pull her over for? I was like, you said to pull someone over. I pulled her over. He's like, Jesus Christ. Give me your stuff. And give him your stuff. He goes up there, and I go to get out of the car to follow him. He's like, sit down. And I was like, oh, okay. And he lets her, I see her go drive off, and he comes back. Yeah. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, what did you pull her over for? I was like, you said to pull someone over. And he's like, well, you were military, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, we're not on the base. You can't just pull people over. You got to have an offense. And I was like, oh.
You didn't say that.
You said to pull someone over. He's like, you know what? I appreciate the loyalty. He's like, but for now on, we need to have an offense before we pull people over. That's the difference between being a base cop and being a cop out here. He was a Marine who also was an MP at one time. So he ended up understanding where I was coming from. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah. You know, it's not been that bad. I think we've only had to pull your mic thing out and put it back in maybe 5-6 times now.
At least.
I think it's doing better. We're doing all right. All right, sir. All right. So we've talked about, you did the hostage negotiation stuff for 13 years. How did your career dwindle down?
Well, I was back on the road. I was getting close to getting out. I was getting close to my 25 years. I decided that, the agency was doing buyouts, said that you can buy out all your time you had on the books.
Hell yeah.
So I go, I had a lot of time on the books. So they started with the ranking, the captain, lieutenant, then they worked their way down to sergeants. You had to have at least 25 years in. So I did. And so I took the buyout, and I got a nice big check when I left. And I paid off my 2 houses and all my cars, and I have no mortgages, no car payments.
It's a good retirement.
And now when I retired, I worked for a short time. I stayed out, didn't do anything. Then I got on with this federal security company doing deportation flights with ICE at a Miami airport every day.
Okay.
So I got to fly every day to a different country with a plane load of illegals, taking them back to their home country and dumping them off and then coming back home. They were like day trips. So I did that for about 2 years. And I got kind of tired of going to Miami airport every day because I live about 45, 50 minutes away. And in traffic in the afternoon, it was horrible.
Yeah.
So I got out of that and I got on with this private security company as their operations manager. I did that for about 6 months. And then a new owner came over, took over and dissolved my position. So then I saw something online. This guy was looking for driving instructors, but you have to be ex-law enforcement. So I tried it. I interviewed with the guy. It's the first guy he hired, and it's going on almost probably a little over 13 years that I've been doing that.
Oh, my God. I get so car sick as a passenger with people learning to drive.
You get used to it.
I can't do it. I tried. I was like, they're like, come on, be an instructor. I'm like, if I can't get over the car sickness part, I can't do it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way.
And I got certified by the state to give the test also.
Okay.
Because our company gives the driving test also.
Okay.
And plus, I got my private investigator's license years ago, so I also do that.
That's what my dad's doing in his retirement. My dad was a law enforcement at the same department that I'm at, but that's his
Seems
gig.
like what everybody does.
Yeah, that's his gig now. He loves it. He gets to pick his own hours. Like if he chooses not to work for the month, he doesn't work for the month.
That's right.
And that's what their understanding is. But so you were that close to Miami. My wife and I. This is a little side note for you. We go to Miami every year for our anniversary.
Oh, nice.
We just love the food. We like the atmosphere at night. Our anniversary is, right at the end of December, beginning of January.
Yeah.
So the weather is still really nice.
Oh, it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And the crowd is not nearly as bad because of that. It's that time of year. So when we go, I'm a sucker for Cuban food. Love it.
I do too. Sure.
The one thing that I learned about Cuban food is it's delicious with the most basic ingredients. They really, really don't have a complex system for Cuban food, but they've figured it out. It is delicious.
It's good. Yeah. You're in the right place for it.
Yeah. Oh man. So really like it. Like doing that. There's our favorite bar is called Swizzle.
Oh, Swizzle. Yeah.
Swizzle.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. I love that. It's like this, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like 1800s style bar. They wear the leather aprons. But you get to watch them make your drinks, and they make the most crazy concoction. Like one drink that I really like has an egg in it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, who would have thought? And I'm watching him make this thing, and he cracks the egg open and comes back. It's all frothy. I'm like, dude, you just put a raw egg in this fucking thing. And he's like, just try it. Trust me.
It's a breakfast drink.
Yeah, exactly. So love Miami. Miami's great. So, but no, that's neat. You know, what was your experience like dealing with the deportation stuff? Like, I mean, was it breaking your heart? Was it one of those? No. Well, I'm just curious because
they would empty out the federal jail in Miami, a Chrome detention, and these are guys that they were felons, they were murderers, they were rapists.
Okay. So they've already broken the law on our side of the house, and we're just sending them back.
And now they're getting deported.
Okay.
So we would be on a law enforcement flight. We'd have to go with any security or anything like that. We're just right from the gate right to the airplane.
Yeah.
The prisoner buses would pull up. The guys are handcuffed and shackled with a belly chain. And we check them onto the airplane. They sit. And there was like 15 guards on the plane. The ICE agent, a regular flight crew, a flight medic, and a flight mechanic. And then every day we flew somewhere different. It was South America, Jamaica, Haiti, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and then across the United States, picking up and dropping off also.
Okay. So when you went there, did you ever get time to go check out the sites, or
we weren't allowed to. You had to stay around the airplane.
What the fuck?
You can go into the terminal, but you had to be with.
That one happened quicker.
All right.
You're back.
Okay. So you can go into the terminal, but that was as far as you can go. You couldn't leave the airport.
Oh, that's horse shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the
That's
rule.
why I would have quit too. Fuck that.
Oh.
That sucks.
So, but it was fun. I mean, in a way, it was fun. You flew different places. You didn't know where you were going until you were in the air.
Were you armed up?
Right? No, there's no weapons on the plane.
Okay.
The only thing that they had was just the ICE agent himself. People have to go hands on with somebody, but they're handcuffed and shackled and belly chained.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
Most of the nasty ones are the MS-13 guys. They were very, very nasty. Right. Now I'm 6'5", and they were like 4'11", and they would try to fight with me.
You're 6'5".
Yeah, 6'5", 250.
You are a monster. Jesus.
Yeah.
Fucker.
So their idiots would laugh at them because what are you trying to pick a fight with this guy for?
Right. Yeah. Oh shit! I would have hired you too. Like, we need this big sumbitch. Let's get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that for about 2 years, and then right after that, I went to that security company.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
But prior to all that, I was a bodyguard in the musical entertainment field also.
Really?
That was before policing.
How did you dip into that neck of the woods?
Well, I was working in this rock and roll club down here. It was a very famous club where a lot of up and coming musicians that are still around today started there.
Okay.
MTV started there in this club, right? This is back in like '82.
Okay.
Right? So we had about 16 or 18 bouncers that worked in this rock club, and the head of the security team had a contract with the venue called the Hollywood Sportatorium, where they did all the concerts, and he was to supply personal security for the bands and the groups when they were at the hotel, picking them up at the airport, taking them for sound checks, escorting them to and from the stage, and then back to the dress room, and then back to their bus, and they get out. Right?
Okay.
So we got to hang out with a lot of these rock and roll maniacs over the years.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Nice. What major people can you say you protected?
Was Billy Joel, Neil Diamond.
Oh my God.
Worked with AC/DC, Journey, Van Halen. Van Halen was the best one because it was a 2-day show, so I got to stay with David Lee Roth in the hotel with him.
Okay. So, okay.
It was numerous.
Out of all the people you protected, who was the biggest asshole and who was the coolest?
The coolest was David Lee Roth.
Okay.
And the biggest asshole was Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond, really?
Yeah, he was such a jerk.
What?
Yeah, he had his own 2 guards, that his bodyguards.
Okay.
They were helping him out. And every time he got near him, he would like shoo us away, like, put the hand like that, get away. They had to put fluorescent arrows on the ground to the stage because he was so drunk all the time. So he could find his way to and from the stage. Right? And then when we were done singing, we would get him from the stage, walking back, and his 2 guards would go, get away. We're assigned to him, get away.
Yeah.
Right?
And
we would stand outside the guy's restroom door.
That is hilarious. Neil Diamond, really? I would not have expected that. I would have thought for sure AC/DC or some of these harder bands.
Well, Billy Joel was real cool with us because I brought my wife to that show at the time.
You did Billy Joel?
Yeah, and we're in the dressing room with him and his group, and my wife goes, "Man, it's really freezing in here." So the guy takes off his leather jacket. Here, wear this. Put this on. Right?
Yeah.
And then we escort him to the stage. We do the show. And then when we're done, we're walking him out. And he goes, just keep the jacket. And
really?
they get on the bus and they leave. Yeah.
Oh,
now,
man.
where this jacket is today, I have no idea.
I still do some Billy Joel when I do some karaoke. I love it.
Really?
Hell yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And David Lee Roth was very exciting because he was always looking for the groupies backstage.
Oh, I bet.
He handed out all the backstage passes.
Yeah.
He would lean on my shoulder and go, I want that one. I want that one. I want that one. I want that one.
Really?
And I give him a backstage pass and it would disappear into the bus for a while.
Oh, jeez.
And, whatever they did there.
So that would have been it may have been even more exciting for you had you not been married.
Yeah, really.
How long you been married?
Well, back then I was married for about 13 years. And unfortunately, my wife died of cancer right after that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I got remarried about a year later. Now I'm married 26 years.
Okay. That's unfortunate. Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, some things happen.
Hey. Yep.
But it was a good time working with those lunatics.
That is amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So dang, dude, that is amazing. That is a very cool story. I like that. So you have a pretty dynamic career going. You decide to start writing books. Yeah. When did that start occurring? And explain the book writing to me.
Okay. Well, the first one, when I was working in the Rock and Roll Club back in the early 80s, we had a drive-by shooting out front where one of the bouncers was shot and killed. And actually, he died in my arms. I had my finger in the bullet hole trying to stop the bleeding. Didn't work. But
really, that is incredible. So you plugging his bullet hole up?
Yeah, so it didn't work because everybody's laying on the ground. He's not getting up. They drove right by behind me and they shut out my windows on my car while I'm sitting in it with my roommate. So I dived out of the car and I told her, "Hey, somebody's shooting, get down." So everybody's screaming and yelling, and the car peels out of the parking lot after the shooting. Everybody's getting up except this one kid, one of the bouncers. So I run over to him, I get on the ground with him, and I pull him up into my lap, and I stick my finger in the bullet hole in the back, trying to at least do something. So then the medics get there, the police get there, and they take him to the hospital, and he died at the hospital. Then these guys get into a crash about 2 miles down the road. And the police respond to that crash, not knowing they were just involved in this murder. So they do the accident report, and they send them on their way. Right?
Yeah.
So eventually, they get rid of the car. They get rid of the rifle that was used. They both flee the area. One guy goes to Tennessee. One guy goes to northern Florida. Making a long story short, they both get recaptured. They get captured, brought back for trials. So during the trials, the first guy, they're both charged with first-degree murder. The one guy, it took 3 trials to get him convicted. He had 2 hung juries and a good trial. The next guy, first time convicted, so they both got sent up to prison in northern Florida. About 7 years later, one of the guys gets raped in prison and contracts AIDS. And the family pleads with the governor to have him, if they can pardon him, so that he can go home to die instead of dying in prison. So the governor grants that request and he gets out.
Okay.
Then about a year later, the other guy escapes prison in a laundry truck and is on the run for over 10 years before the marshals finally catch him and bring him back.
Holy shit. It's like some Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, it's all online. You can Google this. You'll see it. Right?
Okay.
Then the story follows back to the club. All the crazy, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll back in the night in the club. A lot of drug use back then, a lot of cocaine use, a lot of Quaalude use.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of fighting. And that's where I met Johnny Depp, because Johnny Depp was a guitar player with the house band at the time.
Yeah, he's got his own band now. Yeah.
Yeah, well, now we became fairly good acquaintances over the years. And
good guy?
Yeah, he seems a real good guy. Yeah,
okay.
Real nice guy.
Always curious.
A little bit of a wacko, but all those guys are.
Well, you have to be that. I mean, that's Jack Sparrow. I mean, you can't,
exactly.
you can't be a normal dude and play that role.
No. So I'll get to a Johnny Depp story in a few.
All right.
That was when I was working with the sheriff's office. I met him again.
Okay.
But so anyway, so I had this idea of this shooting and what happened in the aftermath in the club would make a good movie. So I let it go for many, many years, and finally I said, let me sit down and write something. So I got with the script writer in California, and we put together. First, I had the whole thing put out already, written up. It was 93 pages, but it wasn't in a script format. So I hooked up with this guy in California to write scripts, and we put a script together. And I couldn't use the real name of the club, so we came up with the name called The Hurt. That's the name of the rock club.
Okay.
Right. So it became a script. And then I was talking with this guy, this executive producer, who's the executive producer for the Amazing Race TV show.
Okay, I'm familiar.
Back in my cop days, when I was on Cops, he was the cameraman.
Oh,
that's how I knew him.
That's awesome. So he moved up.
Yes, he moved up.
Yeah.
So I contacted him online, and I go, listen, I got this script. Is there any chance you'd be interested in producing it? And he goes, yeah, I really love to, Glenn, but I'm in the middle of my 30th anniversary show, and I'm all over the world. I don't have time to do anything. But he said, why don't you have somebody transform it into a book and then book to movie? I said, okay, I'll try that. So I got with this lady in California that does that, and I had it transform from script to book.
Okay.
And thus I have the book called The Hurt.
Gotcha.
That's the history of that book.
Okay. Where's the movie?
I'm still waiting.
Oh, shit.
You need to know a lot of people, and it's a very expensive project to get it going. And this is where I would try to get a hold of Johnny Depp, because he's got a production company.
Okay.
He's got the money,
Well, I tell you what, you got a good damn shot of getting a hold of Johnny Depp through this podcast, because I've got tens of viewers. So you.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
So that's the first book. The other one is The Real Story Behind the Hurt, and it takes place 25 years after it was closed by the original owner. So now he wants to reopen the club is 25 years later.
Oh, okay.
And I come to find out that this guy is really some kind of an anarchist. He's really a bad guy, and he's very much into the Antifa and the Black Lives Matter movements. And
he was your employer for a while?
Yeah, before that, 25 years earlier.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he lets all these guys work in the club, like hiding in plain sight. So at night they can go out and cause havoc around the city and around the neighborhoods, causing fire shootings and bombings, and then hiding back in the club.
Okay.
That's what that one is.
Okay.
Then Operation 1600 is a political thriller. It's about a corrupt U.S. president that gets us into a nuclear exchange with Russia.
Yeah. When did you write this?
That was probably about 6 or 8 months ago.
Oh, okay. I was like, if you were telling me you wrote this shit, in 2015, I'm going to start calling you Nostradamus here. So,
oh yeah, right.
You're starting to click again. Oh, no worries.
You good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so you wrote.
And The Look a Quarter is a autobiographical anecdotes Follows my life growing up in New York through the military policing,
Okay.
and to what I'm doing today with the everything we just spoke about.
Okay. Very cool.
That one's a little more risque.
Oh, really? Okay. Now, I wasn't joking when I said, like, it's kind of funny because on paper I look like a very sophisticated, educated individual. I'm not. I hate reading. I fucking hate it. I don't read. Like my chaplain in the Air Force when I was still active duty, he had begged me for about 2 years to read a book called Lone Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
Which ended up being a movie.
Sure.
And I gave him an earful because it was maybe a year or two later that Lone Survivor movie come out. And I was like, you asshole, you made me read this book that I loved. And a movie came out and I could have just watched the movie.
Right.
Now, to be fair, that's the first time I could ever sit there and say, okay, I kind of understand what the nerds are talking about when they say, like, the book's way better than the movie. I get it now. I finally get it. But I hate reading. I hate it. So
yeah, it's not fun.
And I was trying to
writing.
Yeah, and writing. So as a person who writes for a living, you understand that as an officer. I like doing that stuff. Surprisingly, I really like writing reports.
Yeah.
But when I went for my master's degree and whatnot, I had a thesis and all that crap. I didn't want to do that. I did not want to do it at all. So how in the fuck do you get the patience to write not just a book, but 4 books?
Well, the first one, The Hurt, was easy because I lived it. It was something I was part of, witnessed to, and lived it.
Yeah.
So that was fairly easy. That didn't take really long at all. That took maybe a week.
Really?
To sit down and put the thoughts together and put them in order so you have an understanding of what's going on.
Okay.
The others were time consuming because you have to try to keep the story flowing in the right direction.
Yeah.
And you're moving, one paragraph over here, this paragraph's got to go over there, and this one's got to go on another page, and and it took they took time. So it's about 1 a year.
Okay. And with those books, like you had to go through a publisher and all that stuff.
Yes.
If there's any cops out there listening that may want to do what you're doing, I have zero interest in ever writing a book. So, but there's plenty of cops up there that I believe should write books because they've had just amazing careers. And
there's a lot of good books out there. A lot of cops wrote a lot of books.
A shout out to Michael Sugru, or Sugru, I should say. I had him on not too long ago. And
I was listening to that guy. Yeah.
Mike.
No, I don't know. I was listening to the podcast.
Oh, yeah. So he wrote Relentless. I don't want to get it wrong. So I'm going to actually pull it up here. Because I actually just did a refresher reminder on my Facebook page for him. I love giving shout outs to other cops and their stuff.
Yeah.
So here we go. Just want to make sure I get it right. Relentless Courage, Winning the Battle Against Frontline Trauma. That's what it is.
Okay.
Here's the little refresher I did today. This guy.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Involved in a shooting, all that good stuff. So, yes, cops have great stories out there, and I think books should be written about them and stuff like that. So, what was the process like for you? How did you even dip your toes into that?
Well, other than the first one, and actually even the second one, the other one with The Hurt, it was a lot of research, looking up things on Google, getting facts, and just sitting down and trying to come up with a storyline. You try to be, a little bit absurd, embellish a little bit here and there.
Oh yeah. That's what cops do. It's like fishing.
Yeah. Right.
It was 15 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
And eventually the storyline comes together, and then I listen to the news and what's going on in the world, and maybe I incorporate some of those news stories into the book or into the format, and eventually it comes together. Okay. Just a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
That's all.
And you didn't have any problems getting published or anything like that? Just
no, I went through a self-publishing place.
You
pay them a moderate amount of money, not much.
Gotcha.
and they do editing for you, and you pick a book cover and the formatting of the book, and it worked out pretty well.
Okay, so you don't have to answer this question. It's just for my own curiosity and other cops that I know they're wondering the same thing. Like, is it monetarily worth your time?
At this point, no.
Okay.
Not really, because unless you go to a big marketing strategy where it gets very expensive. You have to sell a lot of books in order to get like on the bestseller list.
Yeah.
I sell them. They're online. I get a little royalty check every once in a while that they bought books, and I get a little royalty from that. And I sell them out of.
Yeah. You're good.
Hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And I sell them out of my office when they're doing the driving school thing. Actually, I'm doing more sales there than online.
Okay. Well,
I get a lot of cops that come in with their kids. They look, hey, what's that about? Hey.
By all means, my private group page, the Two Cops One Donut private group page, I'll pop that up here right now. This page that I'm on right now. If you see the Texas flag with our donut on there, pop your book on there or all your books. Feel free. If you're not a part of that yet, just let me know. I'll send you an invite. It's not hard.
Yeah, send me the invite.
Yeah, but our private group page, and this is for anybody listening. If you're a part of our private group, and I'm saying that with air quotes, it's just a matter of getting on there. I let people post whatever they want. That's the whole point of the private group post. Like, if you're on there and you've got something to share, fucking share it. I'm all about it. So jump on there, share your book, sir. And hopefully people jump on and start participating and helping support. Dude, you've lived a fucking great life, man. I love hearing this stuff. I mean, you did it all.
I tried to dip my toes in a lot of things.
You did it all, man. You got the celebrity side with the private security, stuff like that, which is a lot of cops know exactly what you're talking about. Me personally, like not that I work private security, but I'm in a place that a lot of big events happen. And I've been there with Joe Rogan, not Prince, unfortunately, Kiss, Eric Clapton, like all these real big names and stuff. And I'm right there. And it's amazing. You get to meet these people.
Sure.
And that's just kind of one of the side benefits of being a cop. And love it. I love that stuff. So to hear that you went from military to the sheriff's department and had also the private security side, I mean, you've hit all aspects of it. And I mean,
I've always tried to keep my resume good.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just hearing your stories, man. That's incredible. That is incredible. I can tell you this, though. If I visit Florida, your ass better be available because I'd like to come hang out.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sure. At the end of the year.
So you said you had 2 houses, though. Where's your other house? I
have a house in the mountains in North Carolina.
Okay, nice.
It's like a vacation getaway.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
As for me, my goal is I want to have a house in Montana, and I want to have a house when I retire somewhere other than the hot ass area of the DFW in Texas.
Oh, it's horrible here. Yeah.
Oh man. See, the difference is it gets 110 here. The humidity isn't that bad, although the locals will tell you that the humidity is terrible.
Yeah.
Now, I grew up in Michigan that's surrounded by the Great Lakes. That's humid. Florida, I got family there. That's humid. You're surrounded by a body of water. There's a difference. When it's 80 and 100% humidity, that's way different than 110 and 50% humidity. Like it's just different. So
yeah, I don't mind the heat. It's just humidity that's brutal.
Oh yeah, no, you ain't lying. It's bad. So okay, all right, sir. So talked about your books. I want to talk about, like I said, I try to educate the public as much as I try to educate other officers and stuff like that. It's all about perspective. Yeah. Policing from your generation to policing now. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong in today's generation of policing, in your opinion?
Well, back then in the 80s, prior to cameras.
Yes.
You know, now we didn't have cell phone cameras back then when I started. Definitely didn't have the body cams yet. So I think police were more apt to be a little more heavy-handed because they didn't have much eyes on them at the time, right?
Yeah.
As compared to how it is now, where as soon as you get out of the car, you get 50 camera phones pointing at you.
Yeah.
Surveillance cameras at every corner.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody's taking your picture somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you just do your job, do what you're trained to do, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
Be honest and upfront with whoever you're dealing with. You shouldn't have a hard time at it.
Yeah.
Right? The only problem is you got to deal with some of these woke administrators and some of these woke what do you call it? Government people in your communities.
Yeah. Politics have no place in police work.
No, absolutely not.
No.
But unfortunately, you see what's happening.
Yeah.
At every turn, there's some politician wants to do something with the cops or wants to get them in trouble or fired.
Yeah.
Or disband them or get rid of them.
Yeah. And it's incredible. Like, when you think about, you talked about there's cameras everywhere. And the first instinct that I would have as a civilian hearing a cop say, well, there's cameras everywhere. Well, what the fuck were you doing that, you're so afraid of a camera? Listen, it isn't that in the 80s you were worried about a camera, even if there were cameras. It was accepted. Your police practices back then were supported by the public. It wasn't that they they were against what you were doing. When cameras became so readily available, the public started to see what police work looked like. And they became aware. And they were like, oh, that's what y'all do. That seems kind of brutal. Maybe we need to tweak it. Yes, we approved it then, but let's improve it now. Let's adapt it.
Like I always told my wife, the use of force.
No, you're fine. He's got to adjust his mic real quick for us, guys. So
okay,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that the use of force is never pretty.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, anytime you have to
what you have to do and what you're allowed to do.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nobody says you have to get beat up or shot or stabbed before you can respond back. But
Amen.
That's the attitude of the public.
Yeah.
Well, why'd you shoot him? He didn't shoot you. Well, he just pointed a gun at you. Yeah, so?
Yeah. And it's important for the public to understand. Like, I've talked about this before, and people, I've had a couple of private messages. Some people they don't want to put anything out on blast, and I'm okay with that. But I would say this in public too. I've people like Levine. You said you would hit somebody that hasn't hit you yet. Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Like, there's indicators I can tell that somebody's about to fight me or about to assault me or whatever it is. Clenching their jaw. You're trying to talk to them and they're just biting down on their teeth, and you can see that clenched jaw. Balling their fist up, or fist pumping, I like to call it. I'll see this a lot. The right foot drops back behind them. These are indicators that you pick up over a lifetime of experience as a cop or even as a person that gets in the street fights. I got friends back home. They love to fight. That was the thing. Go to the bar, drink, have a good night. If they didn't get laid, they're going to fight somebody. So, and that's just the lifestyle they lived. I came from Flint. Hey, that's what it is. What it is. So I got some buddies like that, and even those guys will tell you the indicators are there. So, do I have to sit back and wait for you? I see all these signs. You're going to fight me, but do I got to wait? Hell to the no. I am going to take every advantage I can get, and as long as I can articulate it, and now that we have body cameras, a lot of this stuff you get to see. And if you see my narrative, I'm like, I saw he bladed his foot back. He dropped back. His fist started to pump. And you can see that on the camera. You're like, oh, shit, that's what he said in the report. I see this. Oh, okay. Well, maybe he was about to fight. And when I haul off, and I'm a big fan of the open hand slap. I love it. Yeah. And anytime I've had to use force, most of the time, that's what I've got to use. Because you know how it is. Well, maybe you don't. Big 6'5" fucker. You didn't have to do much. You just blessed by Jesus. So, for me, who's 5'11", I would call myself an average dude. So, 5'11", about 190. I did what I had to do, and a good slap usually gets that shock and awe of,
Yeah.
did this cop just fucking slap me? And by the time he's trying to figure that out, I've already got his hands behind his back, him on the ground, whatever it is. So, no, folks, sure. This is part of the education part for my show, Glenn, is I want the public to understand how you and I see things. And then if they don't agree, by all means, they jump on the YouTube channel or they jump on my Facebook and they're like, hey, you talked about this with Glenn Topping and you said this and I don't understand or I don't agree. I think this and that. And then we can have some discourse and then we can start bridging that gap, that inexperience or ignorance that they have because they don't do the job. And I want folks to understand ignorance is not a slam. It is not me making fun of you. It's not a put down.
Right.
I don't know what you do for a living. You could be a paper copier repair person. If I were to jump on here and start saying what you all need to do for your job as a paper copier repair person, I'm speaking out of my ass because I have no idea what you deal with day to day. So it's the same thing with police work.
That's why I think they should go on ride-alongs and see what they really do on a night shift.
That is my ultimate fix at the beginning for everything. For everything. If I ever wanted to talk shit about a doctor, a surgeon, whatever, I need to go watch him do what he does for a day or a week, whatever it is. Same thing for police work. If you're going to hold your police accountable in a critical fashion, which I believe you should, I don't want to sound like I don't think you should, but if you're going to hold your police accountable in a critical fashion, please go do a ride out with your local agency. See what they do. Ask questions. You think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I really do. I think it's eye-opening.
It is eye-opening.
Yeah. And I was, at first as a officer, I think I kind of let some of the senior officers rub on me. Like, anytime you get a ride in, you're like, fuck. I don't want to do a ride in. And then when I started to really, I don't want to say push against the grain or anything like that, but I'm very community police oriented. That's what this I'm trying to improve things for cops in the community. So I'm really into that aspect. And I think when that triggered in my head, 3-4 years into the job, I really started to look forward to ride-ins. I'd see a ride-in coming, I got him. I'll take him. Like I volunteer.
I used to get them all the time.
Yeah.
I get to meet some people from the media.
Yeah. Yep.
I even had a pro wrestler ride with me once.
What? Who?
Some guy, he was a part of a tag team. This is in the 80s.
Okay. I'm a huge wrestling fan, so I might know him.
Oh, okay. They were called the Skull Crushers.
Okay. I don't know the Skull Crushers. I was like, I hope it's Von Erichs or something.
Just one guy comes in. He's like a mountain of a person, right? Long hair, big beard. And I get called in. I go, this guy wants to ride along. I go, who? The guy over there. Who? That guy? Who is he? Why does he want to ride along?
Did y'all run him? Did you run his background? Make sure he's not a felon? How big do you think he was?
I took him out. How big?
Yeah, how big you think I mean, if you think he's big, you're 6'5". You're a big fucker.
Oh, he was a big. I'm tall. I'm not big. He was at least 260, maybe about 5'8", 5'9".
Oh, okay. Oh, but he was wide,
like gigantic muscle with a head on it.
He's the Hulk.
That was it.
Yeah.
And he was a really, really nice guy.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, can we go get some drug dealers?"
That's beautiful. Hey, good for him. I like that.
We rode around, and he gave me an autograph, picture of his tag team, and it was interesting. He was really a funny guy,
Interesting. That's awesome.
You get all kinds. I want to ride along, They just want to see what's happening out there. All right.
Yeah. Well, all right, Glenn. Let me first off, I want to plug your books. Okay. You blessed my show. You came on here. So if you are listening, listen right now. If you jump onto my YouTube, I am showing. Glenn has a pen name for 2 of his books. One is called "The Hurt" and the Rise and Fall of Extremists, I'm sorry, The Real Story Behind the Hurt and the Rise and Fall of Extremists. That's one book. And then the other one is called The Hurt. And those are both by Josh Scott. That's his pen name. So I've got those books right now on Amazon, and I'm showing it on my YouTube channel. So if you come onto the show, check that out. You'll see that. I got the books up right now. And then his other two books are called Operation 1600 and Look a Quarter. And I've got Operation 1600 up here right now. I don't see Look a Quarter just showing up by any means. But you'll be able to find those books on Amazon, Kindle, tons of other places. But check those out and help support my guest for taking the time to come onto the show. But before we go, Glenn, I don't want to cut anything off by any means. Is there anything else that you want to hit that we haven't touched yet?
Earlier we were talking about Johnny Depp.
Oh, yes, definitely. Let's talk about Johnny Depp. I'm all about Edward Scissorhands, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, we were doing there was something going on in one of the local venues over here. They were doing a reunion of all these 80s bands. And I was in charge of crowd control. I had 10 other deputies working with me. So we got word that Depp is coming in by bus with his entourage and his bodyguard and a couple of family members. And we need a separate area for him so nobody bothers him. So we got a place for him behind the building. We set up an area, a secured area. And I told my guys, listen, I know Johnny. I'll introduce you to him when he comes in. Oh, you're full of crap. Get out of here. You don't know him. Hey, no problem. So the bus pulls up. He gets off. He's walking around with some of his people. And I yell over to him, hey, Johnny, come here. And he's looking over towards my way. And he goes he's like, why is that cop in uniform calling my name? So he kind of saunters over to me with his bodyguard. And he's looking at me and he goes, Glenn? I go, yeah, how you been, John? I haven't seen you in many years. Right?
So he remembered you.
How you been? Yeah, you remember me.
That's awesome.
He used to call me the PI. Hey, is this the PI? So then I introduced him to the guys working. I said, hey, John, this is the guys, working this show tonight. And they shook their hands. Hey, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. And then they go, all right, John, I'll talk to you backstage. And they leave. And then my guys go, hey, you do know him. That's pretty cool. I said, I told you I did. I don't get starstruck,
Yeah, I'm the same.
Depp story.
I'm the same way. I've like I said, when I met Eric Clapton, I watched the show. I knew Eric Clapton. I knew who he was. I love his music, all that stuff. I know realistically how big he is when it comes to that genre.
Oh yeah.
And we get to the end, and I'm in the, where all the buses are inside the arena and stuff like that. So, well, there he is standing talking to some dude. I don't know who he's talking to. And much smaller man than I expected. Very small guy. No offense, Eric. You're just a small dude. And he's talking, and I'm standing there, and I'm waiting to be released. I'm just listening to my radio and my earpiece, and I'm just waiting, and I'm looking. I'm like, you Eric Clapton? Yeah, he says, sir. Yes, sir, I am. And I was like, hey, man, good show. I was like, you sound great. And he was like, thank you very much. And he shook my hand. Appreciate your service. And that was it. That was the stint. I met Eric Clapton. I didn't ask him for a picture. Didn't do any of that. I lived in the moment. He's a very nice guy. And that was it. But starstruck, I mean, if I were to get starstruck about anybody, he's one of them. Met Joe Rogan, who's probably my favorite person that I met personally. Like I'm big into jiu-jitsu, so I started in jiu-jitsu, and in this, there's different names. So you've got Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, you got Machado Jiu-Jitsu, all this stuff. So I started
that for a while too.
Yeah, so there's this one called 10th Planet by Eddie Bravo, which was started under a Machado school. So I was into that. Well, that's what Joe Rogan was into. That's how I knew Joe Rogan and heard of him, was because of this jiu-jitsu that I started when I was active duty. So that's how I got into Joe Rogan to begin with. I was like, oh, he's a badass dude, and he does Fear Factor, and I remember him from what's it called, Radio something. He was on a TV show way back in the day. But Yeah, I ended up working his show recently, and he's huge now. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Yeah, he's
can't
big.
even. Yeah, we can't. I mean, as far as podcasting goes, he's the biggest there is. So for me, I was like, oh shit, I'm about to meet Joe Rogan. You know, like how do I handle this as a person who's trying to do podcasting? I was like, you know what? I've got these. I got these made up. These two cops, one donut sticker.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that light is really washing that out. Let me go to the brown one. Maybe that'll show. Yeah, there it
Oh, I
goes.
see.
So I got
I
these
like
two
one.
cops, one donut stickers made up, and I was like, you know what?
Send me one.
I was like, let me shake Joe Rogan's hand, and when I shake his hand, I'll give him a donut from a cop. And it'd just be funny if he ever decides to dig into seeing what two cops, one donut is. Maybe he'll reach out. Who knows? But that was as far as that went. But yeah, man, it's interesting. I think us cops have a way of staying a lot more grounded around celebrities than because
Especially if you're working.
yeah, we see the real shit all the time, and I think just in the way that our job goes, in seeing the worst of the worst, the best of the best, the front row tickets to the best show on earth, police work.
Yeah.
When we deal with celebrities, it isn't as big a deal for us.
No.
In general, I know there are. I've seen some cops freak out, and but for the most part, I think we do a pretty good job when it comes to dealing with celebrities. But dude, I mean,
I even had a President Bush story.
what? You met President Bush? Okay, so I work around a lot
The
of
older Bush, not the young one, the older one.
Oh, okay. So George Senior. I was gonna say I got a lot of cops here that they've got a lot of George Bush stories, but George Jr., not George Senior.
Yeah, we were working him and his wife were coming into the city, the local city, to do something in one of the hotels. So I was there with the Secret Service, showing them around the hotel. Another guy working with me, another deputy. So then we're at the front door of the hotel with the agent. The motorcade pulls up, and I'm standing on one side of the walkway, and my deputy is on the other side. And the agents are coming out of the car, and then it's followed by the president. And the agent in front kind of looked at me and stared at me for a second. He goes, I just saw you on Cops the other night.
That's awesome.
And then I start laughing. And then as he walks away, the president looks at me. I saw you on Cops too.
He watches Cops. That's awesome.
So the other deputy almost fell down laughing. He couldn't believe what he heard.
That is hilarious. All right. Before I end this, before I let you go, okay.
Yeah.
You have a wealth of experience, all right, in law enforcement. How can we, if you were to give the rookies of today any words of advice, how can we improve it from here on out?
Well, just to listen to what you're told, learn from your training, be honest, don't lie, because the lie is going to be worse than what you're lying about. You're going to become a not very good witness for the state if you have to go to court, because the defense attorneys are going to know that you lied about something in the past. Are you lying now or are you lying then? Which one is it? So be upfront, be honest, do your job, and don't pay attention to all the outside noise. And you'll be safe and go home safe.
I like that. Well, brother, first off, appreciate your service in the military. I appreciate your service as a retired sheriff. And I really appreciate you reaching out and coming on and sharing your knowledge and experience. And I really wish you nothing but success and happiness for the rest of your retirement. You earned it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right, brother. It's been a great show. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it again. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.